we see questions.
Hey, welcome to our YouTube live of our Orbi Q&A. So my name is Philip Pio. I'm a Senior Director of Product Marketing here at NETGEAR. I'm excited to field all your questions, and I'm here with my esteemed colleagues and boss. So it's going to be a fun morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and we're really excited to get some good questions coming in. Orbi has been a great product for us, and we're really excited to help answer any questions you might have, either pre-sales or post. So bring them on and type in your questions, and we'll answer them live here on video, and maybe some whiteboards, and or right in the Pubble app in the chat. So welcome. Want to introduce yourself, Sandeep?
Sure, yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm Sandeep Harpalani. I'm Team Director of Product Management here with NETGEAR, looking after all the home networking products. So glad to be here for the second Facebook Live event on Orbi, and glad to look forward to your questions and answers. We already received some great feedback on the product, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Hi, my name is Amit, Rele. I'm Product Manager for the Orbi. Just joined about 4 weeks ago. Was really excited to hear all the rave reviews about the product, and wanted to participate in growing into the next step. Really excited about the future here.
All right. Well, good morning. My name is David Henry. I'm Senior Vice President of Home Networking. I've been at NETGEAR for just over 12 years, mostly working on wireless routers and extenders and the like. But in the last couple of years, we've been really focused on evolving the home network to something that's a bit more distributed, and that ended up being what we're now calling Orbi. It's probably one of the most exciting projects that I've worked on since being at NETGEAR. It probably is. I'm delighted every time I hear feedback from our customers, good and bad, because it's really good to be able to touch people's lives in that way. So this Q&A should be fun. Hopefully we'll answer your questions, and maybe we'll get some good ideas about where we should take the product in the next months, quarters, and years. This is not just a product, it's a product line. It's got a long life, and we're going to continue to invest to make it grow. So we're looking for good ideas as well. So with that, let's get to some questions, huh?
Yeah, so I'm looking on the board here, and a lot of questions are being asked and answered here. I think if you're looking at whether to ask questions on the Facebook Live on the community, please do it there, and we can answer it on here on YouTube as opposed to straight into YouTube Live.
So I'll take this question. There's a question from the guest. It says, hey Orbi, we've seen a lot of comparison between Eero and Orbi lately. I personally prefer Orbi, thank you. But what are the key differences between the two platforms, and why is Orbi the best choice for full coverage? So the key difference here with Orbi is really performance plus range. I think there are solutions out there, mesh solutions out there that you spoke about that provide you that range. I think the key difference with Orbi is to provide you that performance at that long range. And the way we do that is by having a dedicated wireless connection between the router and the satellite. And that allows basically that, unlike other solutions where you have the same Wi-Fi that is talking to the devices, is also talking to the backend on the router. While here you have separate connections. You have a dedicated backhaul, your dedicated Wi-Fi connection, which is a 1.7 gigabits connection between the router and the satellite, while you have a separate Wi-Fi to connect your devices. So that gives you the best performance. Some of the other differences are really more powerful, better with higher power antennas and so on. So we have a better coverage. So with two devices, we can cover 4,000 square feet, which is good for almost 90% of US households. And that also offers a lot more flexibility in terms of placement of these satellites. So you could place the satellite, the router, wherever your internet connection comes in, and the satellite will go somewhere in the middle of your house.
So while we look for other questions to answer, I just want to kind of comment on what Sandeep just mentioned. 3 is always better than 2. And all of the other mesh systems out there are dual band. They use 2 wireless radios. Orbi uses 3. That third band, as Sandeep mentioned, is dedicated to connecting the Orbis to each other, which allows us a maximum connectivity speed between the Orbis. And we still have 2 more bands to talk to all of your devices, your Macs, your smartphones, your tablets, all around. So 3 is always better than 2. Remember that.
When it comes to Wi-Fi bands.
Oh.
And then the other, actually, that brings up a really good point that there's a question that says about, is this a router? Is this the same as a router and having 1 or 2 more access points? And with our tri-band mesh technology, it's very similar to how access points actually connect to the base router. Generally, in a campus environment like here or in small businesses, you have access points around the business or even home, large home, but they're usually wired back to the main router. So in that sense, our tri-band Wi-Fi, our tri-band mesh Wi-Fi, actually creates a dedicated wireless connection as if it was wired. So that's a real advantage to our mesh technology, is that it creates this dedicated wireless connection between the Orbi router and the Orbi satellite, and it's very similar. It's like a virtual wire because it's dedicated. No other clients can connect to that band, which keeps it very clean for this singular connection, just like a wire in connecting routers and access points. The great advantage over actually access points is that we are basically creating one SSID or one network name for the entire home. So you no longer need to have a different login for depending on which, if you're connecting to the router or to an access point, it's all the same SSID, and all the intelligence built into Orbi knows which one you're closer to, knows which one is giving you the better signal strength, as well as which is giving you the better performance. It actually will do performance measurements and say, you know what, we can get you a faster speed if we connect you to either the router or one of the satellites. So it's very similar in technology of having access points, but with the convenience of not having to run any wires, but getting that real wired connection. It's really a breakthrough technology that we've applied to routers now to our Orbi home Wi-Fi system, and the reviews are in. I mean, the reviews by everybody who's compared our product with other mesh Wi-Fi systems has said, I get consistent connections everywhere, which is covering this coverage, plus high performance, the best download speeds everywhere, not just near the router, not just near one satellite, actually everywhere. So it's really a powerful technology that we've innovated in our routers and now in our Wi-Fi system. So go check it out.
Yeah. You know, Phil, one of the things that I hear a lot about Wi-Fi systems is, you know, where do I put my router? Where do I put my satellite? How do I place these things? And one of the reasons I really like the Orbi system is we make it really, really simple. You place the Orbi router, which is this guy here, wherever your modem comes into your house. Sometimes that's in the bottom floor. Sometimes that's in, a bedroom or a garage, or whatever, side of the house. And then you take the satellite, which is this guy here, and you just plug it somewhere central in the house. You don't have to guess around, do I have a line of sight connection between these two guys, or let me do a speed test between these two guys, and okay, move it, try it. You just plug one in where your router used to be, or your gateway used to be, or plug it directly into your gateway. You don't even have to get rid of it. Put the other one somewhere central in the home, and of course it's nice looking, so you can put it central in the home, and you're done.
You know, I plugged this thing in my house,
Yeah.
and it's been there for the last 4 weeks, and my wife has not complained
All
about
right.
that at all. It just kind of went into the rest of the theme of the house,
That's
so
a big
it
deal.
goes everywhere.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a really great point too, because I know when we did a lot of user testing early on in the Orbi development, the first thing we learned was people don't want to follow instructions.
Right.
We all know how people just want to just get it, plug it in, and make it work. And we've made it so close to that, where you basically plug one in to your router and your modem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you take out your existing router, or you can plug it right into a service provider box, and then you take the satellite and put it anywhere central to your home. It's no like go here, don't go here, make sure your line of sight 40 feet. I mean, all these conditions. It's
Yeah.
really just, we've really simplified it.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, and that's really goes to the technology that's been built inside. These products are bigger than you see on other Wi-Fi systems, but
Yeah.
it's there for a purpose. It's there because we can get better range, we can put more power through them, it actually really enables us to have two to cover a whole 4,000 square foot home, as opposed to other solutions, right, that take 3 or more.
Or even more,
because
yeah.
they're so small, they're so much lower powered, they don't have quite the range, so you need more of them. And it creates challenges. We know from performances for performance testing that we've done and other people have done, that the more you add, the slower speeds you get, the more hops you have to make between these Wi-Fi nodes, if you may. And also, there's more connection and disconnection your client devices have to do. So you're walking around your home,
Switching
you're
and
streaming a
switching.
movie, or you're chatting with somebody, and you're FaceTiming, and you're walking around, and now I have to switch because I have so many more nodes. I have to switch from one to another, different another, and another, and that just creates more opportunity for slower speeds, disconnections, unreliable connections. You know, here, 2 is good. You know, two larger products. They are larger, but they give you. It's not just for aesthetics. We did it because we can actually crank a lot more power through these devices and create that tri-band Wi-Fi connection, which is universally better.
So one more question here, interesting question is, can we hear about the new iPhone app? And that's a great question. Again, we just actually announced the Orbi app. We released it on iOS as well as for Android on the Google Store. And this basically now offers an option to our customers to install using the typical browser on any mobile device or any other device that supports a browser, or you can download an app on your iPhone or an Android device and provide you the same ease of installation that you're familiar with all the NETGEAR products and specifically with Orbi. So it's very simple in terms of walks you through the steps in terms of identifying the device, identifying the particular device that's connected to helps you in terms of installing the Orbi, recognizing the Orbi satellites in the network, and shows you what are the devices that are connected to it. So that's a great introduction, and we are actually continuing to add new functionalities and feature to it in the future.
Yes, so we do have a nice roadmap for the mobile app. We've got plans to introduce much more functionality on there. The first release went out Monday. It's available on the Android as on Google Play as well as on the Apple App Store. When you're doing a search for it, make sure you search for NETGEAR Orbi, and it'll come up. You can Google search it, or you can go to the App Store directly and search for it there.
You know, Phil, you were mentioning our Orbis are good size, and one of the things I noticed is that on the back of the Orbi, you get 4 ports. This is not your slimmed down 1-port
That's right.
Wi-Fi system. Not only do you have 4 ports on the router, but you have it on each of the satellites as well. So you don't have to worry about adding a switch to your Wi-Fi system to extend it. And this one might be in your living room. I mean, imagine the kind of wired devices you can plug into your living room and have it have a really, really fast internet connection.
That's right. Right. It's great. It's a great solution because we know not everything has to be wireless. In fact, the more things that are wireless in your home, the more they can interfere with each other, right? It's just like anything that's wireless. So if you have things like televisions, game consoles, Blu-ray players, televisions, audio video receivers, streaming players, all these things that are stationary and they're near an Orbi, you can plug them right in. You don't need to have them work wirelessly. Wireless is convenient, but if they're not mobile, keep the wireless open for your mobile devices like your laptops and your tablets and your phones. So it's a great point. The satellite has 4 ports on it too, so you got a home theater on the other side of your house, or that's where you want to put the second Orbi. You can plug in all those things I just mentioned straight into it and get it virtually on this wired path, wired back to the internet. So it's a really elegant solution. Other solutions have maybe 1 extra Ethernet port available, so it's a little bit limiting, especially when you have wired devices. That it's just going to help your home Wi-Fi performance, definitely.
Yeah, so I can just add to that. My son is a gamer, and I have the Orbi satellite sitting next to my TV and connected directly to the Xbox One system, and he just loves it because it's almost like having a Cat5 cabling in the house. So it almost replaces that speed, and he gets the same 200 megabits that I get on the internet at the router. That's the same speed that he gets on his Xbox One, and he loves it. question I have here is what sets the Orbi whole home Wi-Fi system apart from, say, the Nighthawk router? So I think, again, great question. I think the first difference is really it's a Wi-Fi system. So it's a router and a satellite. Now, Nighthawk are great routers in terms of they provide you the best in terms of performance, in terms of specs, and then the latest in terms of functionality and features. I think if you take a router, Nighthawk router, put it in the center of your house, it should cover 90% of the households. But in reality, your internet connection might be coming to one end of the house, and you might be having an issue in terms of getting the best performance at the farthest end of the house, or you might be having chicken wire in your home somewhere, and that's a great killer in terms of your Wi-Fi. So depending on your situation, you might have an issue in terms of getting that 100 megabits or 200 megabits broadband connection that you're paying for on a monthly basis at that farthest corner of your home. And Orbi is a great solution in terms of providing you that whole home coverage with the performance and with the speed that you're looking for. So I think that's one maybe fundamental difference there. The second, in terms of Nighthawk, is really it's a little bit more targeted at a more customer who's much more technically advanced, and then somebody who has knows how to set up a Nighthawk with a range extender, set up 2 separate networks and so on, while Orbi is pre-configured out of the box, single network name between 2.4, 5 gigahertz between the router and between the satellite. So you don't need to worry about moving your devices from one network to another network as if you're on a Skype video call, moving from one end to the other end, your call will not be interrupted. It provides you great Wi-Fi everywhere. That's, I think, the key benefit of the Orbi Wi-Fi system.
If I could just touch on that, I think, even looking at the products, this is an Orbi and our Nighthawks. I don't know if you actually have some behind you in the mirror, and you can see them in the video. This Orbi is really for that set it and forget it customer who wants to plug it in and say, okay, NETGEAR, Orbi, you take care of the rest.
Yeah.
Right? The Nighthawk is extremely powerful. It's extremely featured, but it also gives the customer a lot of knobs and dials to customize their network exactly how they want it. So for the person who likes to be a little more hands-on and take advantage of all the latest and greatest in technology and features, that's the Nighthawk. For the person who just wants the better Wi-Fi everywhere, as you mentioned, set it, forget it, NETGEAR, take care of it, that's the Orbi. And then, for those lucky few, you get both. All right, put that on your Christmas list. The Nighthawk X10 and plug in an Orbi system with it. That's the ultimate.
Ultimate in feature and performance.
Everything you want. Everything you want. It'll be a great Christmas,
Combination of product.
Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, everything.
One thing I'd like to touch on is in terms of the industry, in the connected home industry, there's been a bit of a change in the last 2-3 years.
Yep.
It used to be that you needed Wi-Fi coverage in certain portions of the house, right? Maybe a bedroom, study, things like that. I was talking to a friend of mine over dinner last night, and his house is a regular sized house, maybe about 25,000 square feet. His internet connection comes in on one side of it. It's right by where the TV is. But he recently bought a set of Arlo cameras, and where does he want to deploy them? He wants to deploy them on the front of his house. The coverage there wasn't so good. So we were talking last night, and I was thinking, what would be great for you is that a Wi-Fi system like the Orbi. Now what you can do is that you can take those Arlo cameras, which connect back over Wi-Fi, extend your reach over to the front of your house, possibly in your front yard. Mm-hmm. You can put it in your side yard. It's not just that coverage in a certain part of the house that used to be okay, but hey, now you can start streaming music and videos and stuff in the backyard by your pool, because now you'll have the coverage there. You'll be able to put cameras and things like that on your side yard because hey, now you have the option to do that. There's other interesting products that are coming out in the market, things like Wi-Fi connected LED lights and garage door openers and things like that. since when, I mean, we never had to optimize for Wi-Fi coverage in your garage.
Right.
That was never a problem, and now we have a solution to that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so the trend, that's exactly right. The trend is not only everybody needs coverage everywhere, but the number of devices being connected in your home is just increasing. And when you start adding in home monitoring cameras and things like that, it's not just a little bit of data. It's streaming video
Exactly.
up to the cloud and down from the cloud when you're watching Netflix or HBO Go or other streaming apps. So you really need performance everywhere, and it gets even more challenging as you put more and more wireless devices in your home. So definitely Orbi is the right type of solution because of the tri-band mesh technology. There's nobody else on the market who's doing that, and when you have dual band Wi-Fi trying to handle all the traffic of clients as well as getting you connected to the internet, it just starts bogging down with more and more devices being connected. You might get coverage, but you're not going to get any performance out of it, and we know it's the trends of more devices, more performance for video streaming down, up. I mean, down is going 4K now, so downstream 4K video now. So it's not a light load to be carried over the Wi-Fi network. So definitely you need a high performance solution that's going to cover you not even for today, but what your home's going to look like just 6 months from now or after Christmas, after you get all these new connected devices for the holidays.
So I mean, you made an interesting point about Arlo.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great point. We have different types of Arlos, like the Arlo Q, which you mentioned is Wi-Fi. You
Right.
can now put those Arlo Qs even further and further from your router. And even the Arlo wire-free, you now have flexibility to move that base station around.
Exactly.
So it doesn't just have to be in your corner of your home. It can now be central in your home because you have a satellite. You can plug that Arlo base station there, and again, that allows you to have even more flexible placement of those wire-free Arlo cameras for your garage, your backyard, and all of those. So it's a really good complement. These solutions complement each other very well, and I think that the concept of internet connectivity everywhere used to be wherever my laptop is, then it was wherever my TV is, and then it was wherever my tablet is. Now it's my entire property.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and not just the connectivity, but the always-on aspect of this connectivity.
And the performance.
Before it was, when I get home, I care about my laptop being at work and my tablet being at work. But now, with all these smart IoT stuff, it's especially with video, it has to be. So what else is happening here? So keep bringing your questions in.
All right,
So,
audio
yeah.
working now? We're good?
We're back on.
All right, we're back on.
So one more. Why do you think Orbi has gained such a following of fans? So, well, thank you so much in terms of all your support. I think all you guys have been great in terms of supporting our products, and I think the main reason that Orbi has gained a lot of following is because it solves a key fundamental issue that problem that customers have, which is providing the best connectivity and the best performance for all their devices in the home at the same time. So the requirements are increasing, the number of devices are increasing. The devices, a typical US household had something like 12 devices. It's going up to 16 devices. In another 2 or 3 years, expected to go up to more than 50 devices. So as you add more of these devices, all of these devices require bandwidth. Your content is becoming more and more, requires more bandwidth. You have 4K movies, you have gaming, all these things require a lot of bandwidth. So suddenly your requirements in terms of bandwidth are increasing. Thankfully, the internet speeds are also increasing. So we see the internet speeds going from 50 megabits to 100 megabits or even 200 megabits.
A gigabit now with DOCSIS 3.1.
Yeah, and with
Just launched
Comcast
yesterday.
rolling out DOCSIS 3.1 in certain areas, we're not really seeing gigabit speeds. Fiber has been there with gigabit speeds and so on. So I think that improvement in speeds will continue. The increase in number of devices will continue. The content will become more and more rich. So our requirements in terms of bandwidth are increasing, and Orbi is the only solution out there that provides you, that solves that fundamental performance bottleneck that all other systems have. Having that dedicated Wi-Fi backhaul that we spoke about earlier really ensures that the same speed, that same 200 megabits that you're getting at the edge of your house is the same speed you're getting on the satellite.
If I could just touch on something, I mean, I think the question was, why are people getting this cult following, so to speak, of the Orbi? And when I read a lot of reviews, and I read a lot of them on Amazon, and Best Buy, and on blogs of customers' testimonials, these customers have tried solutions before. Yeah. They've tried power line solutions. They've tried Cat5 running across their floor with access points. They've tried repeaters. They've tried many, many different types of solutions before. And many of them have worked to some extent, but not given them, finally exactly what they need. And so I think many of them see the Orbi as the final destination of a long Wi-Fi journey. Yeah. And they're like, right. Finally. And I'll be honest, Orbi is not for everyone. Not everyone's going to have really, really fast broadband speeds. Yeah. Not everyone has a gigantic house. Not everyone has really thick castle-like walls or a basement. But for those who do, they know this pain. Yeah. And they've felt this pain. And maybe their family member, their wife, or their husband, or their kids are always complaining about the Wi-Fi. For those who feel this pain, and this solves it, it creates this, and that's where you get this following. Right. And
where have you been all my life?
Where have you been? And you read the reviews. That's what you see.
People say.
It's good that this pain has been there because now we can solve it. But our aim is to eliminate that pain everywhere in the world.
That's right. Let me be that testimonial.
Yeah.
Several years ago, I started working from home for a stretch,
Mm-hmm.
and where my study was on the complete opposite side of the house from where the internet connection came in. I had to resort to spending a whole weekend running Cat5 cable from one side of the house to the other side of the house. It was painful, it was frustrating, and I just had a miserable weekend. I wish I had the Orbi back then.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's. Is there a way that we could shake this up a bit? Maybe do a diagram as to why tri-band is better than dual band.
Have at it.
Who's gonna go?
Have at it.
All right. All right. Let's go.
All right. I'll grab a beer here and watch this.
All right. Here we go. So the big thing is typical house.
Okay. Now wait a minute. Do we have microphone action over there? Are we good? Can we hear you?
Yeah, let's move a little closer.
All right. I'm gonna move the microphone a little closer so you can.
I'll draw. So let's say this is the floor plan of your house. Your internet connection is coming in from somewhere over here on the side of the house. So the way that Orbi works is you put the Orbi out right where your internet connection is, plug it into the WAN, into the cable modem, or however you're getting the internet. The other Orbi, you put it somewhere in the center of the house. This guy provides coverage over here. This guy augments this coverage to augment the rest of the house out over here. So the reason why this works so well is this guy over here has a 2.4 gigahertz radio and a 5 gigahertz radio. In addition, so these are the two bands, so you can have your iPhones out here, which will connect back through here instead of having to go all the way out to here. You could have a streaming device, like maybe an Apple TV, out here, which will connect over the 5 gigahertz channel, because this is the closest one. Now the reason why tri-band is better is that we've got this big fat pipe, and this is the third band. This goes over the 5 gigahertz band, and this thing is what, 1.7 gigabits per second? And the reason why this is better is this is completely independent of this. Now traditional systems, what they used to do is that they used to take in the traffic on the 5 gigahertz and then repeat that over the exact same channel back onto here. So why is that bad? Well, you might have another device out here that's trying to get onto it. Well, this poor device out here has to wait until on the same channel until this packet gets sent from here and then sent all the way back here. Now that's 2 hops. So that packet is waiting twice as long in order to send it back here.
Now let's extend this to another degree. What happens if you've got a third system, a third mesh? Now that entire channel has to wait 3 different times. So the throughput per hop drops to about half the throughput for every hop that it goes through. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's not unlike how range extenders work today, which we know have limitations in terms of bandwidth. And so having a tri-band Wi-Fi really eliminates that issue of repeating, any sort of repeating. It goes directly from the satellite to the router over a dedicated band. And yes, there's some questions on is this dedicated band available to client devices? And no, it's not. That's why we created an actual dedicated band just for it. It doesn't mean that the clients are getting any less performance, but it's definitely improving the throughput all the way to the internet, which is why it's dedicated. And this is not just dedicated with a tiny radio. We have 4 radios on each side talking to each other to maximize and fatten this pipe we're talking about. So it is not only a powerful with incredible range when you hook up 4 radios on each side to transmit and receive and dedicate them to each other. It gives you a very powerful, long distance and very fast connection, just like a wire. In fact, sometimes you can get faster than wired. I mean, 1.7 gigabits per second is faster than gigabit Ethernet, so it's actually faster than a wired connection, which is why our Orbi, our 2 Orbi, stands so strong compared to 3 of anybody else. It just, everything that we've built into it works together like a charm. So it's really, and don't take my word for it, read the reviews, look at what the industry is saying regarding throughput measurements, and everyone that we've looked at, everyone that we've seen shows the same thing. While you might get coverage with other systems, you're not getting the same performance everywhere. And these days, with the amount of money we're paying for broadband, with the amount of money we're paying for our streaming services, why skinch on performance? It's definitely worth it. 2 is better than 3 of anybody else.
So I'll take this tough question from Woodbeast, and he said they pick and choose questions like the Democrats. How secure are these devices?
Yep.
So I think NETGEAR takes the product security very, very seriously. We have been the lead in terms of introducing new things like to improve security. We're the first ones to start shipping Wi-Fi routers with pre-configured Wi-Fi security, so that ensuring that when customers install the product, they install the product with the default configuration, which has security enabled. We're one of the first to basically remove CD-based installation, go directly to a browser-based installation. We continuously update our firmware to as you come across any kind of security vulnerabilities. And one of the best features in Orbi is an auto firmware upgrade option. So it's a constant battle. As we come across new issues, we basically have to release new firmware fixes. And what the auto upgrade firmware option ensures is that as new firmware are available that have the latest security fixes, those are automatically pushed to your Orbi sometime in the night. So you get up in the morning, you basically see the firmware is already updated, and you already have the latest security fixes.
And let's get real on this too. I mean, because I'm seeing it in the chat, there's some security vulnerability that was been recently publicized on a set of routers, and NETGEAR was one of the brands that it was talking about. And there's questions saying, does Orbi have any of these security vulnerabilities? Well, we can say clearly here that it does not. Mm-hmm. It never had the opportunity. It was never identified as having this, and it clearly does not. So not only do we have the industry leading security on our Wi-Fi systems, and the way we actually ship the product already has this security already built in and turned on. So it's not an open Wi-Fi network. It's always a closed Wi-Fi network with security and the auto update. But also in terms of this recent security vulnerability news that's surrounding NETGEAR and other products, this is definitely not part of that. Does not have the security vulnerability at all. It never did. So, yeah, keep us straight if you're not getting your question answered here. Come on.
So David, that's a question for you. Wi-Fi 1818 asks, what kind of beer did you grab? Further, do IPAs or lagers go better with Orbi Wi-Fi software?
What beer goes better with Wi-Fi, David? What's your?
I don't know if my mom is watching, but no, I'm a big fan of IPAs. Lagunitas, I don't know. You can see the beer there.
You can see when you drink it.
We removed all the brands.
It's not an ad.
Next time
We'll private chat me, private message you. We'll talk beer.
We'll start a whole nother Q&A on our beer. All right.
So another good question is, Barbara asks, I found you. Explain Orbi in simple terms. I'm no tech genius. Please keep it simple. So let me try this. So basically, Orbi is 2 units. One is the Wi-Fi router, and the second one is a satellite. So you first take the Wi-Fi router out of the box, wherever your internet connection is, your cable modem, your DSL modem, connect it. You can see here, you have the Ethernet port, the yellow one. So you take the cable which is there, the white cable which is there in the box, connect that, and basically power it up, turn it on, and take the second satellite, put it somewhere in the middle of the house, open up your web browser or download the app from the iOS or from Google, and if you open up the browser, it should automatically hijack the browser or go to orbilogin.com and just follow the steps in terms of installation. So it's pretty straightforward. It'll automatically identify, recognize these devices. You have the Wi-Fi network name and password, so you can connect either your laptop or your mobile device through Ethernet, or if you want to connect through Wi-Fi, you have the detailed the Orbi Wi-Fi network and name and password. So just connect to it, walk through the steps, and you're up and running. Doesn't require any WPS button to be set up and everything. It's all pre-configured. It has a single same SSID, same network name and password. You should be up and running in the next 5 minutes.
And these devices come prepared, so you don't have to do anything to configure them separately. Just download the mobile app. I think the entire process of installing and configuring it is, I think, 5 steps, if I don't miss.
Right.
And that includes, putting in your Wi-Fi passwords and things like that into it. You don't have to register it online. You don't. There's no provide your passwords online or anything like that.
One of the questions I get a lot is they say, I've got Wi-Fi. It's not great at home, but I have a router or a gateway that was given to me by my ISP. And I'm afraid if I remove it, I might lose my phone service. I might lose my video service. Can I use Orbi? And this is more and more common. A lot of ISPs, your broadband provider, will give you for free, or maybe they'll charge you a lease, but they'll give you a device, and that device has a lot of services wrapped up into it. But sometimes the Wi-Fi it's certainly not an Orbi class of Wi-Fi. And so the answer is, you know what? You can leave that ISP provided gateway exactly where it is. You don't need to remove it. You plug in the Orbi from the yellow port directly to that ISP gateway, to any of those LAN ports on that gateway. You plug the second one in, just as we were mentioning, somewhere central to home, and that app will walk you through everything. You don't have to remove what you have. And that's one of the reasons that the Orbi is so popular, is that some people are taking the Orbi to replace their router, which is great. That's what it's for. But some people are using the Orbi to plug it directly into that Fios gateway, or that Uverse gateway, or that Comcast Xfinity gateway. And we think there's a huge potential there to help a lot of people, get out of the Wi-Fi dark ages and get to something really, really current and fast. Particularly as they're signing up for faster and faster broadband speeds.
Yeah, we made it as easy as we think we can to do that. We have a lot of video shorts and how-tos to do exactly that kind of a setup. We know that's a very popular way to use the Orbi case. So yeah. Okay.
So another question from Christian. I do a lot of first player shooting games on my console. Latency and lag are big issues. There are plenty of traditional routers geared towards gamers. Can I expect Orbi to work better than fine for my use case? Yes, just from a bandwidth perspective, from a coverage perspective, it should give you an improvement because now, as I said in my case, I have my Xbox directly connected to the satellite, hardwired, and that offers the same speed that I'm getting on one end of the house is the same speed I'm getting on the Xbox because I have because of the 1.7 gigabits backhaul connection, dedicated backhaul connection that is there between the router and the satellite. So that ensures it. But even if you're connected wireless, you should see an improvement. I think there are a lot of benchmark figures that are out there comparing Orbi with some of the solutions out there. If you look at SmallNet Builder and so on, Orbi is the only one that can offer you more than 150 megabits throughout the home. So with that bandwidth, whatever game you're playing, whether it's Call of Duty or so on, I should definitely give you an edge over your competitors.
I definitely recommend, exactly as you mentioned, connect that gaming device, whether it's a console or a PC, or connect it wired to the satellite. That way it's wired to the satellite and then 4x4 dedicated backhaul to the internet. I mean, it eliminates a lot of potential lag points that you might have with a normal Wi-Fi router, which is trying to serve, and you might have 20 different devices in your home all connected. It's round robin through 20 devices. That gaming console is getting 1 out of 20 hops. With Orbi, you use that dedicated backhaul.
Yeah,
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, don't leave anything to chance, right? Because even the game consoles themselves haven't built in the best Wi-Fi.
That's true.
Right? I mean, they usually are going for
They're
some
like 2 generations late.
Exactly. They're it's surprising because there's so much other technology in there, but the Wi-Fi that's kind of like an afterthought, and they put in an old generation technology. But so if you even want to improve upon that, you basically plug it right into an Orbi, and then if it's your Orbi's if it's further away from the router, then you put it in the satellite, and that's going to take out one more potential point for delay or lag. All right. Well, we got another 10 minutes coming, so if people have more questions, come on in. This is great time to get them in before we end up closing in about 9 minutes. So, what were you going to say?
What does distance do to throughput on Wi-Fi, and how does positioning satellite closer to you, how would that help? Maybe you can.
So what's going on?
What does distance do to throughput away from a router? So to address this bandwidth and throughput and latency types issues.
Right. So it's the laws of physics, right? In terms of as you move out away from the router, you will see a degradation in terms of performance.
In terms of speed.
In terms of speeds. Now, thankfully, Wi-Fi speeds are pretty high as compared to the internet speeds, unless you're one of those lucky ones who have a gigabit internet speed or even higher. You heard of 10 gigabit speeds in some parts in the world. So even at those speeds, I think the Wi-Fi is pretty capable in terms of giving you the throughput. But clearly, as you move away, that performance goes down, and that's the reality. So having that 4-stream, quad-stream connection between the router and satellite basically ensures that you have a highway connecting your router and satellite, and that ensures that you're getting the best performance. I think the best example here is like what we are providing is to go from a location A to location B is the only solution that offers that highway, that 4-lane highway, to get you at your required place at the fastest, and to give you the performance, give you the speed. So even with this degradation in performance, having that backhaul ensures that you're getting that throughput, you're getting that speed at that farther corner, and then satellite is further extending and giving you full coverage. So as we said, each router is capable of doing about 2,000 square feet. So with a 2 unit, you can do 4,000 square feet. With 3 units, you can go up to 6,000 square feet. So that really good enough to cover, I think, most of the homes out there.
And their backyards.
And their backyards and their front yards, yeah. Maybe the neighbors too.
So are anyone posting any interesting features they want to put on the Orbi in the
Yes.
future? Any app features or anything like that? We encourage you to post it. Free market research.
I'm going through some of them now. Okay, so here's a couple ideas. And questions at the same time. Do you have any plans for different color Orbi or any skin designs? So there's an idea for you.
Skin
We can
designs.
skin them and
Yeah.
put.
Well, it's a good point. On our Arlo cameras,
Yeah.
we made them initially they're white because we figured it would blend in with your walls.
Right.
Within, I don't know, maybe 9 months later, 9 months later, we started releasing different skins, greens with your plants and
Camo,
camouflage
camo,
and sandy
black.
and desert color.
That's right.
So,
Desert storm.
hey, I maybe it's something we should look at. I mean, I don't know that we have plans yet, but the more people start to show us pictures and live tweet them and put them on our Facebook page of
Yeah.
where their Orbi is and what the environment is, we'll look at those environments and we'll try to figure out what do we need to do to make our Orbi fit in even better.
Yeah, a lot of people are putting it on bookshelves and console
Maybe
tables.
one that looks like a book.
There you go. Put a spine on it.
You
and-
put a spine on it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Put some. So there's a new idea for us. Get
Yeah,
some
one more
Orbi
new
skins.
idea is about make the Orbi like Amazon Alexa so you can talk to it.
Yeah, that is something we've been thinking about.
Yeah. So there
having
was
two-way audio on this.
and there's some questions about Alexa integration too. So
Mhm.
so yeah, we're all those things we're looking at.
So then I'll pose the question back to the audience there. If we were to put Alexa or Google's Home voice commands, what kinds of interaction would you want
Yeah.
with your
That's a
Wi-Fi
great
system?
question.
Would you say, "Hey Orbi, what's my Wi-Fi speed?" Or "Hey Orbi, kick my kid off the Xbox?" Or what are some of the things that you'd like to see if we were to integrate that? Please post, tweet,
Yeah.
hashtag it, all that.
One more feature request, any plans to allow Ethernet backhaul from the satellites? And now, that's a good question. Frankly, when the whole idea with the tri-band is we're trying to avoid any kind of Ethernet backhaul. But seems like if you have a network and so on, you want to utilize it, it does seem to be an interesting feature for
Coming up a lot.
Yeah, it's coming up a lot. So definitely, we're looking at that feature, and stay tuned. Always a lot of new features coming in, new timelines, and we'll share with you as we come out with these new features. Most likely, maybe one day you'll get up in the morning and you find that you have Ethernet backhaul.
So every morning, check your app every morning for a new feature. Actually, it's interesting. I think that there's as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people who've been trying to solve these problems for a long time.
Yeah.
And Amit mentioned a couple years ago, you went ahead and Cat5 part of your house. And so there may be people who have Cat5 in a couple rooms,
Yep.
maybe not every room, but a couple rooms. And so they may want to put Cat5 in this room. But maybe some other part, they're okay to use the wireless backhaul. So it could be more of a hybrid solution where you're Cat5ing to some and you're Wi-Fi to the other. So there's even small businesses, right? Some small businesses might have Cat5 in some areas, and they'll use Cat5 for the satellite, and others they might just use the Wi-Fi. So it's a great idea and something that we're definitely looking at. All right, we're at 5 minutes, so we got hopefully some good
Get your questions.
interaction, feedback, questions. Otherwise, we can talk about beer.
We got some really creative folks online. We have
Okay.
already somebody who came up with a skin for Orbi.
Oh, they
Oh,
already made
nice.
it?
Yeah, here, check it out. I'll put
Oh,
it up.
cool.
Yeah.
It's like a tie? Is it like
Yeah,
a...
it's like I think it's a Brooks Brothers theme.
Oh, fancy.
So, I don't know if it'll come up on video, but let's see.
Oh, that's pretty slick.
Yeah,
Can you
that's
zoom
pretty
in?
cool. There we go. Yeah, so
You gotta walk up to
we
the
got,
camera.
We got so many creative folks online. It's awesome.
Yeah, I remember when we were originally designing the product. This is, by the way, not the first design we came up with. We had many others. We had ones that were like this big, tiny ones. We had big ones. We had ones that looked like a lot of different things. But we finally decided to use this design, which was not originally a wireless router design. It was actually, we borrowed it from another part of the company who was developing another product that I won't mention. I used my influence to say, hey, that's a pretty cool idea. Let me borrow it. And they never got it back. So this was originally had nothing to do with a wireless product. But we wanted something that was soft, that would be family friendly. I think that's the term we would use, that it could be in the center of the home and it not be an eyesore, but it blends in well. But the other thing that was really important to us is that we were not going to compromise a good look for performance. And trust me, there's a lot of times you can make that compromise. We could have made this thing half the size. We could have made it, I don't know, a lot of different ways. But we said what's most important is the NETGEAR promise is that when you get Orbi, you get the best performance. Right? There's a lot of promises by a lot of companies. When you buy NETGEAR Orbi, you're going to get the best performance, period. And we can't deliver on that promise if we make compromises. And that's why we said, you know what? Let's create the best looking product we can after we make the best performing product we can. And that was the fundamental design tenet for Orbi. And I think John Ramones and his team in the product design, if you're out there, did a great job of giving us a really good look, but with zero compromise. And we have a pretty advanced wireless team in our RF lab who will pretty much smack the product manager anytime we try to make a decision that compromises Wi-Fi performance. So even if without that design decision, it would have been overridden anyway. So wireless trumps all. All right, we got 2 minutes.
So here's a follow-up question on Ethernet backhaul. I think that's interesting. Is can I add a second router with the same SSID, and will that work? So that's from TechRe. So Orbi is a Wi-Fi system. So basically, in the system, the
Sorry,
router.
is he saying a second satellite or a second router?
Second router, or I think he means more of a range extender to extend the network. So his main concern is, how do I increase the coverage? How do I provide better coverage for the home? So the solution has to be to add an Orbi satellite. So you have to take another Orbi satellite,
Yep.
and you can connect to the router, and that will allow you to basically extend your home network. If you add any other device and put the same SSID, you really are not getting the benefit of the Orbi system, because the handover between the router and the satellite will not happen. If you have
Your connection will blip.
yeah, your connection will break. So the best solution is to keep the same Wi-Fi, which is the Orbi Wi-Fi, throughout the home, and that will give you the best coverage, the best speed, and the best performance, and the best connectivity as you move around inside the home.
If I could touch on that, basically you're pointing to one of the most valuable parts about Orbi, which I don't even know if we've mentioned yet today, which is that Orbi is a system which is extendable.
Exactly.
The Orbi comes in a pack of 2. It covers a 4,000 square foot home. In fact, it can cover even larger than that. We have people with bigger ones. But there's always a home that has the Caitlin house out in the side, or the garage that's in a dungeon or something. There's always that home. And so yes, we do sell additional satellites to continue to add more and more coverage in your home, your small business, whatever that is. So not only is it's a system that gives you that single SSID everywhere you are, same connectivity, but keep adding to it.
Yep.
In fact, if you want to, you can just start with the Orbi router. You don't have to buy them in a pack. You can start with the Orbi router and then add 1 later, or then add 2 later, and then add 3 later. So you can keep building on from there. So it looks like we're running out of time, and so we'll wrap it up. I want to thank you all for giving us the questions. the pictures of the Brooks Brothers skinned Orbi was really cool, and now we're gonna chug these beers. All right.
All right.
Wrap this up.
All right. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.